Boing, boing, boing. Feeling fancy and want to style on your opponents? Want to improve your movement with tricky dodging? Well, I'm about to tell you everything about how to b-hop like a pro. Welcome back ProGuides fam, it's Stray once again with another video. This time it's going to be a fun video on how to bunny hop, or b-hop for short. For those wondering, b-hop isn't nearly as effective in Valorant as in CSGO. In CSGO you get a lot of bonus movement speed for doing it properly. There are also factors like the tagging in Valorant being more punishing, really stopping the b-hop. Also, walls are very paper thin in this game and almost all are able to be shot through, so even if you b-hop to cover, you still might die. However, by practicing b-hopping, you can get a lot better with your movement, therefore being trickier to hit in a lot of different situations. Even though it's not as good as in CSGO, it's still great for confusing enemies trying to track you with abilities, ultimates, or even just bullets. While not being a necessity to learn in this game, it's still very good to pick up and learn. I hope you join me in today's video as we hop into this one together. As always, we have our question of the day. I want to ask you guys, what other buffs would you guys give Viper to make her more viable? We already heard confirmed buffs on their way for our poor Snack Lady, but we currently have no idea what they're changing. I would love to see some way for a poison orb to be deployed easier and faster without having to be exposed when trying to pick it back up. In addition, I would also like to see some kind of ultimate rework, as that thing just sucks completely for teammates in the vicinity. Seeing Viper be played in pro tournaments would be a dream come true due to all the sneaky and tricky plays you can do with her smokes and a coordinated team. But at the moment there are just too many faults and better agents to use in a team composition. Tell me what you guys are expecting with the buffs down below, and let's all hope for some good buffs for Viper to make her completely viable. We need our snack girl to be healthy and strong soon. So before we actually get into our video, I want to explain what exactly b-hopping is. B-hopping in Counter-Strike is the act of consecutively connecting jumps while air strafing in between them to get a lot of speed, faster than you can run with a knife. In Counter-Strike, b-hopping was originally a glitch that players found out that they could exploit when they strafed in the air while jumping to gain lots of speed. When they timed their mouse movement to their directional input in the air, they got so much incredibly faster. B-hopping was used to get around the map faster and break timing windows where enemies wouldn't expect. The mobility used to be insane until Valve patched it to be more balanced within the game. Now it's a proud feature and what makes the skill cap even higher for movement. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen the legendary b-hop video, Foon is too much for Z-Block. That video is the most iconic video on demonstrating how powerful b-hopping is when done at a masterful level back in the days. Now it's much more balanced and still very rewarding to do in CSGO that demonstrates very skillful movement. Tricky movement is a very underrated skill to have that might give a small enough advantage to win more duels. In Valorant though, b-hopping is not used for movement speed so much as there's no increase in speed while air strafing. Therefore you don't gain more speed than running with a knife. Now rather, it's mainly used for the tricky aspect and trying to dodge dangerous stuff. Now let's try to actually perform the b-hop and try to get you guys hopping and popping. For b-hopping, old school players will tell you to put your jump on either the mouse scroll wheel up or down. I personally like to use the mouse scroll wheel up, but it's all up to preference. B-hopping is very much so dumbed down in Valorant that you can probably even use the spacebar to do so. The timing window has become very lenient where you don't need to be as precise with your input. In order to start your b-hop, you want to have forward momentum by holding W. After you gain momentum forward, you want to jump and then move your mouse towards the direction releasing the W button and holding one of the side directional inputs. So if you're moving your mouse towards the right, you want to release W and hold D while in the air. Practice this motion as air strafing is super helpful and will get you to safety in a lot of sticky situations. And then after you complete your air strafe and hit the ground, immediately jump again this time as soon as you can in the other direction with another air strafe. I'll give the inputs in the order right here. Hold W, jump, release W, hold D while moving your mouse to the right. Then when you land, jump as soon as you can, and this time you don't need to hold W when you land. Just go straight into another air strafe and hold A while moving your mouse to the left. Because you're conserving your momentum from before, you don't need to press W at all anymore after the first jump. Repeat this left to right and vice versa, and voila! You have the bunnies. Like I said before in Valorant, b-hopping isn't used for speed, but rather tricky movement, so if you think it's faster than running with your knife, that's not accurate at all. But it is very fun to do so and will keep your fingers warmed up if you do decide to b-hop. I personally like jumping from place to place like a kangaroo. Now, let's get into some fun things you can do with this newly acquired knowledge. For one, you can peek a lot safer for information while being harder to hit with this technique. If you do stuff like stutter peeking with A and D around a corner or straight up jump peeking, those are good, but strafe peeking around a corner is by far way superior. By doing this, you can make yourself harder to hit tenfold. I'll give a scenario. You're playing C behind the default box and you want to check if enemies are at long C. So you'll want to jump out of cover for a little bit and then air strafe back into cover. Also, another tip, when you are doing this, focus more on the mechanical aspect to expose the least amount of your body as you can while still being able to see the enemy. Focus on doing a quick strafe rather than seeing how many enemies there are. The thing is that it doesn't matter if you see them with your eyes on the monitor, but if your in-game character model can see the enemy as it will show up on your minimap. So if you strafe peek and see enemies, you'll be nice and safe back undercover if you did it right. And you can look at the minimap afterwards to see how many enemies you saw, and that's very valuable information you can relay towards your team. By getting that information, you can tell if it's going to be a decisive push or not. This will allow teammates to start their flank or allow them to rotate towards another part of the map they're expecting enemies to hit. If you didn't do the air strafe properly, you'll probably have a couple of holes in you, but that's nothing Sage can't fix. Segueing from jump strafe peeking, on the same side of the coin, we can use that technique to bait out operator shots. This is extremely useful on the attacking side as operators are a big problem in the meta, so you have to know how to deal with them effectively. Air strafing is a great technique on baiting twitchy operator users that are quick to pull the trigger. Whenever you think somebody has an angle posted with a sniper, always try to do an air strafe peek to bait out the shot, and then take control of that area after they shoot. In order to preserve your smokes and flashes early, I'd highly advise this technique early in the rounds if you're expecting the enemy to have operators. But remember, you have to do this properly, otherwise you might swing too wide on the strafe peek and get completely decimated. You want to expose as little as you can, and sometimes you won't even see them if you do it right. Good places to try this are Haven A and C long, split mid and A main, bind A short and B long, and pretty much anywhere on ascent. Where there are long angles and the enemy has a lot of money, do this more frequently. You're not losing anything but a small amount of time for very valuable information. Try to also remember where enemy agents are playing and look at their money often to try and judge if it's possible that they might have an operator. If you master the strafe peek, you'll be able to scout out where operators are playing, which is valuable information, and you'll also be alive, which is also very important. If you get legged, no big deal as you probably have a Sage. Unless you're TSM, of course. And another very practical use. B-hopping gives you a very good chance at actually dodging ultimates as the movement is very confusing sometimes and enemies won't know what direction you're committing to. While it won't guarantee your survival, it's better than nothing, right? The main ones I say to use B-hopping against are Sova and Raze's ultimates. Both of them need to predict where you're going and try to hit you. Many times, you'll get tagged by something like an owl drone and then Sova pops his ultimate trying to get a pick on you. What I like to do against that are 180 B-hops, where I jump and do a full 180 strafe back and forth. This really confuses people and is highly effective, but you're going to need good control of your mouse to do this. If you don't have high enough sensitivity to do a 180, you probably can't do this, but I wouldn't recommend you to increase your sense just to do this. I would tell you to stay with your same sensitivity if that's what you're comfortable with. If you're a headshot machine, I'd probably stay put. This 180 B-hop also works pretty well against Raze. Next time you're trying to run away from Raze rocket, try to B-hop away and then do a quick 180 towards the Raze when she fires. Normally when you go towards Raze's direction, it gives the most chance for them to mess up as they don't expect you to run into their direction, but rather they expect you to run away. These two are the best ultimates to B-hop away from, and I'd highly advise you to try it out in these situations. You'll find yourself living a lot more than you used to before if you do these properly. Next up is getting flashed. It will happen to all of us sometimes, and when it does, I want you to B-hop away like a rabbit running away from a wolf. Like I said before, B-hopping is always very tricky and the people you meet in matchmaking are not 10s. They won't straight up one-tap you midair and completely annihilate you. What they will do is try to shoot you and not be used to the elevation and air strafing to track it properly and most likely miss their shot. Always have a good sense of how the map is and where cover spots are so that if you do get flashed, you're able to B-hop to that spot and find cover. It's better you try this and give you more chance of survival than running straight to cover and being an easy target to headshot. You want to give yourself the most outs you can and the best chance to survive. Next time you're full blind, go hop to safety. And here we are at the end of the video. I just wanted to say B-hopping is not super essential in Valorant. So if you don't know how to do it, don't focus a lot of your time in this area. While it does have situations where it's practical enough to use it in, it's not the end all be all. Focusing your time into things like holding angles, counter strafing, and aiming are much more important in the end. This is something you learn over time and gain experience on when to use. It is pretty fun to do though. With that being said, hope you guys learned something from the video and enjoyed watching. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe as that'll help support our channel. Stay tuned for more quality videos in the future and wish you guys the best of luck in your Valorant journey. As always, my name is Stray and I'll be signing out. Until next time guys, peace out.